Well, hello there, friends. It is Casper, and today I want to talk to you about another common mistake that a lot of people make when practicing and teaching breathwork. And this is to chase the numbers. See, there's some ways to quantify breath, right? There's some measurements you can do, and these have actually become very popular. For example, you can measure your retention time. So if you do styles of breathwork where you have intense hyperventilation and then a phase of non-breathing, you can measure how long you can hold your breath. And there's, for example, the BOLT score, which also measures a retention, but not after hyperventilation. Or there's CO2 tolerance, where you take a maximum inhale and lengthen this as long as you can and measure it. Now, these measurements are all useful, right? They all have a place. There's something great about each of them, but there's a huge downside to it. And this is when we start to chase these numbers. And I meet a lot of people who practice breath who actually get into a mindset of making a goal out of this number and then chasing that goal. And this is actually, I believe, a very negative effect of using these numbers. I understand, like you go to a breathing session or you practice breath, you do some really intense hyperventilation, and then you retain from breathing, like you stop breathing, and you realize like, wow, it feels like I never have to breathe again. How long would this be? And you measure and you go like, wow, I can hold my breath for whatever, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then you practice again and again, and you see the number increase, and you're like, whoa. So the more I breathe, the more I practice, the number goes up. And then something often happens where people believe that that number tells them something about whether they've practiced well enough or whether they're good enough, which is in a sense true. But then they believe that this should become a goal. The goal is to get this number as high as possible. So now you take a number, an external measurement that knows nothing about your body, and you put it in charge of your breathing practice, or you devote your breathing practice to this number. And this has some very big downsides. First of all, we need to understand that when we are in goal mindset, when we engage our energy, when we activate towards a goal, we are inherently moving out of the opposite dynamic, which is process dynamic, right? So roughly, you can relate to things in two ways. You have goal dynamic and process dynamic. The goal orientation or goal dynamic is much more of a sympathetic mode, and the process orientation is much more of a parasympathetic mode. So imagine, if you think about goal mindset, right? Imagine hiking up a mountain, and the most important thing to you is reaching the top of this mountain. And you just go and you go and you go and you reach the top and you have this amazing experience, but then you realize you didn't enjoy the views. You haven't heard the birds sing in the trees. You didn't feel the sunshine on your skin as well. And you weren't really there. You were just going for the goal, that goal in the future, that peak experience. So this is a clear example of goal orientation. In a sympathetic state, you are more likely to sacrifice the in-the-moment experience, the process of what you're doing, for the goal that you're trying to reach. And this is, of course, very functional in many settings. Like imagine you're a hunter-gatherer, you have to run away from a bear, and then you sprain your ankle. Well, there's no time to feel that pain because all you should do is keep going towards the goal. And then once you actually escape or you reach your goal and you rest, then you can start to feel the pain. There's many spectacular examples of this, for example, first responders running into a burning building and not even realize that they're burned. And once they're out, suddenly they feel the pain. Now, this is because it's very important from a survival perspective to be able to completely neglect the in-the-moment experience in order to achieve the goal that needs to happen in that moment. Often this is linked to survival. Sadly, though, our whole society is built on this idea for there's the goal, you need to achieve this and do that and keep going, and people don't feel their body anymore. Maybe you've had a phase where you work for hours and hours and hours and days and months, and you finally take a holiday, and during the holiday you feel sick or depressed or you feel emotional, you just don't feel good, your body hurts. Well, of course, once you finally enter into a parasympathetic state, you start to feel and process all the things that you were doing in the sympathetic state. So a goal can be a way of neglecting your in-the-moment experience. So now, if we shift to process orientation, so the parasympathetic mode, in the parasympathetic state, you can actually land in the moment and ask yourself, okay, what is going on now? What is important? What is here and what is there? This is the process of life. You can only be in the present moment if you're willing to be fully aware of the process of whatever is going on and not be up in your mind or out of your head even into the future trying to think about or achieve some goal. Process orientation is fascinating when you think about it in terms of breath because breath is a process. You are a biological process. You are a mechanism that is a combination of thousands of systems, inputs and outputs, and billions of molecules going in and out of you with each breath. And in every second of the day, your magnificent biological being that you are is constantly doing this balancing act of homeostasis, of balancing out all of these thousands of systems and billions of molecules and all these cells. That is always going on. And your breath is the main actor in keeping you alive. We need to do that all day long. And so breath is such an amazing process anchor because it anchors you in the present moment. It is always happening in the present moment and always responding to whatever your body needs in the present moment. All right? So, goal orientation, process orientation. If you think about a breathing practice, why would you do a breathing practice? What is the whole point of it? Well, if you ask me, a breathing practice is there to build a strong relationship with your body, with your inner sensations, with your ability to feel what you need in that moment and how to then supply whatever you need in the moment, often with breath. At least that's my style of doing breath work. I don't think goal orientation belongs in a breathing practice. Because now as soon as you start to take this goal, you go like my retention time, I need to reach this number, or the bolt score, I'm only good enough if I reach this number because if I have this number, I'm healthy, and if I'm that, I'm sick, and if I have that number, I transcend space and time, so I must get this number right. And as you're chasing the number, you're actually not feeling what your body is telling you. And you're no longer really relating to the moment-to-moment experience that your body is in. While breathwork is a super highway into the body, the whole point of practicing breath is to land in the body, to feel it, to understand what it needs. Now, of course, there's definitely good ways to use these measurements. I'm not against the measurements and not against the numbers. I'm against chasing the numbers and making them into a goal. So what is the way to use these numbers? Just see them as an in-the-moment measurement of your breath. And actually, if you do that, it can help you build a stronger relationship with your body. So let's say you measure your retention time every day or your bolt score, and every day you reach about the same number, right? You're not trying to improve the number. And this is actually a thing that if you just try to improve the number, you can also start to learn all of these tricks and all these ways of being that will help you improve the number, but not actually improve your breathing. And this is a fascinating thing that I see every now and then, that people, they get really good numbers, they have really long retention times or good bolt scores, but their breathing isn't actually that optimal. They've just learned to get to that number. So they basically sacrifice all kinds of things in their breathing practice and in their awareness in order to get to that number. If your personal trainer tells you, you need to squat in this perfect way and it needs to have this angle and that and such, after a few weeks, you will have learned to do that particular squat that your coach is asking of you. But it doesn't mean you're actually activating the right muscles or you're using or you really know how your body is supposed to move. You just show the trick because that's what you were optimizing for. So use these numbers not to set a goal and to be like, that's where I have to be and that's the only right place. And force yourself to get there, but use these numbers to measure. So let's say you get a relatively constant score every morning, your bolt score, your retention time, whatever it is, right? Every morning, measurement, you see the same number approximately. But then suddenly over the course of a few days, your number starts to drop. And you start to ask yourself, what's going on here? Right? That is the right question. What's going on here? If you then start to go like, no, but this is bad because I'm a breather and I must be a good breather and I have to get this number, otherwise I'm not good enough, then you're missing out on the opportunity to learn. And you go, fascinating. What else is going on? Because like I said, your body is a massive biological mechanism with thousands of processes, and your breath instantly responds to every change on a metabolic level. Your sleep quality, your nutrition, your movement, your levels of stress, the amount that you've worked, your intensity of your training schedule in the gym. All of these things have a direct influence on your homeostasis, on your metabolism, on the state of your body. And the state of your body is always reflected in your breath. So that means that if the number suddenly starts to drop, you should ask yourself, wait, if I have a super low time all of a sudden, a super low score. Where have I been missing something? Where have I been suboptimal? And then you start to see, oh yeah, I've been having a few drinks before going to bed, or my nutrition wasn't optimal. Maybe your body's in a state of inflammation because of nutrition or alcohol, or because of a pathogen or something that it is attacking your body. Or maybe you've been overtraining. All of these things will reflect in these numbers. So if you now stay with the process and you use the numbers as a way to measure what the quality of your breath is, and of course, you're not just measuring the quality of your breath and then changing your breath to get a better number. No, you're going a layer deeper. What else is going on inside my body, inside my life, that is causing my breath to be out of regulation, suboptimal, which is causing my score to be lower? And then, my friends, then you're following the number inside your body and building a better relationship with it and really learning how your environment and how your lifestyle influences your breath. And if you do that, you can reverse engineer it and start to understand how your breath influences every part of your lifestyle. And that is where the door to mastery really starts to open. All right? So stop chasing the numbers, listen to your body, be with the process in the moment, and only use these numbers to give yourself a nice constant measurement that will tell you something, teach you something about who you are, what you do, and how you live. If you have any questions, drop them below. Let me know what you thought. Give it a like, give me a follow, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.